Thank you. Who's excited to have a breakthrough today? All right. Okay. So here's the deal. I have been looking at literally, my friends, I have been looking at thousands of surveys right now. And guess what the surveys are saying? I'm just curious. Go in the chat right now. What do you think the surveys are saying that people who are growing businesses want? What do you think the surveys are saying? Just let me know. Go in the chat. What do you think my surveys are saying right now? I'm just curious. Events, people want connection, people want clients, results, church says. Come on, light it up. Hey, Lucia, how are you? Better cash flow, time, mindset shifts. Okay, you's all wrong on this one. I know that's a horrible thing to say and get started on Shand on Demand, right? You guys are wrong on this. You know what they're actually saying? People are actually saying right now that they need motivation. And so remember this, if you are serving an audience right now and you are looking at let me kind of break this up in a couple different things. In order to lead any sort of crusade in the world, you need to understand that you own 100% of your communication. You own 100% of your results. Nobody is to benefit from your success or blame for your failure. Are we clear on that, Christian Lord, right? Yes? Okay, so I want to start on that neutral benchmark. So I'll give you a quick understanding, and then I'm going to roll into the motivation piece. I'm going to show you how your core value systems could be the very thing that take your finances over to the right side of the track that you want to be on. Does that make sense? Whatever that goal is that you're working on right now. So when I look at my son, what's my son's name? Does anybody know my son's name? Hey, you guys know my son's name? Come on. I want to know. That's right. Zach. It's actually Z-A-C-K, not H. If he sees you put an H, he'll be like, why are they spelling my name wrong? It's Z-A-C-K. So I promise you this will come together. So Zach is my son, and I'll take teacher A and teacher B. Okay? Now, I want you to put yourself in this. You're here, or actually you're not here. You look at, here is the result you want. So I currently want my son to have a great education and be a great leader. Okay, like that's important. So this is your result, right? This is what it is that you want to create, right? What's the goal? So I want you to write that down right now. What's the goal for you? Okay, if I just asked you right now, what's the most pressing goal for you right now? What is it, right? Go in the chat and write it down. Put it on a piece of paper. Put it on a piece of paper. I want you to put it in the chat and put it in the paper, because when we're done, I want you to actually do something with it. I absolutely, I don't go live every single day anymore on Shand on Demand, because the number one feedback I got was there's too much and people are not implementing. And so I love going live every single day, but people are not implementing. It's phenomenal for my platforms, but people are not implementing. Do I want to be effective, or do I just want to be entertaining? I want to be effective. That's a core value system I have. Okay, like massive core value system. I can do other things with posting my content without going live that literally can boost the company, which had me focus on a goal of building a content division. Are you guys starting to see how this starts to flesh out? So often we don't really know the goals we're going after. Sometimes people make your goals for you because you have shiny object syndrome. Sometimes people set your goals for you because they are somebody that's influential in your life. You're like, oh, they're doing that. Maybe I should be doing that. You guys follow me? Yes? Okay, so pay attention to how I weave this in so you can see my core values, and I want you to be thinking about yours in the process. So if somebody says, Shandy, you need to go live every single day, so your platform grows. But when I survey, people are like, it's too much. Right? I can't implement. I feel like for our membership, we started having a 40% churn, which means 40% of the people who are signing up for our membership were attritioning out. Why? Too much. Okay, so I'm sharing this with you because I want you to think. I don't want you to copy anyone. The only people I want you to copy is the people, when you make a decision on your core value system, you go out and you seek who's doing the thing I want to do so that I can mirror that. Russell Brunson would call that funnel hacking. It's just called mentorship, like role playing. You learn more from, like, if you don't like the way your children show up, if you're in children bearing years, if you don't like the way they show up, guess what? They are a representation of your role modeling, period. right? Your company, your virtual assistants, whatever it is, it's a spitting image of us. And so I want to pull back our power today and show you how everything can change today, if this locks in your brain. Okay, who's excited about that? Put me. You should be excited about that. But you wouldn't be excited about that if you didn't put a goal down. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this step for a second. What's your goal? My goal is that my son gets a great education. Okay, and that to me is not in the school system, which leads to a whole nother set of challenges that I have to face, especially living in Puerto Rico. Okay, now what did I just demonstrate? Another core value. Do you know what that core value is? Not having them in the school system. I have nothing against somebody putting their kid in the school system. It's not my place to judge. I know my core value system. You see, we run a much better world if we stop focusing on what everybody else is doing wrong and we start to grab a hold of what are we doing right for us, our family, our legacy, whatever it is that's important to you. Okay, so I want to go down on record. If you want to put your kids in school, I don't have a bone in that fight. Okay, you have a value system and that works for you, awesome. So a lot of people get offended. The essence of offense has you be defensive. And if you're defensive, there is no room for growth. It is a characteristic that needs to be worked out of absolutely everyone. Okay, so I don't care if you put kids in the school system. If you want to stick shots in your arm, go for it. You don't want to, go for it. You want to pray to God? Awesome. You want to pray to Buddha? That's your choice. I think it's God. Right? See my value system? So what happens is we start watering down our value system and we wonder why we end up way in left field when really we're trying to go over here, but we're like way in left field. That's because you're picking goals that are not even yours. I'll give you a great example. I almost married a guy that really was all my mom's value systems until I woke up one day and I was like, this man has nothing to do with the value systems that are important to me. This is my mother. It was a huge aha moment for myself, how often we shut it off and we start running other people's goals. Why? Because they're appropriate. They fit into the norm. And so if you have a people-pleasing tendency or a need for approval, right now my son has a need for approval right now. And so we're course correcting some of our parenting right now because we're watching the feedback we have on our son. Okay, so can you see this level of responsibility? Put yes if you see it. So it's not my son, it's like at first the human side is Zach, just because we're complimenting this other child, it doesn't mean that we're not complimenting you. But I did an eagle on the golf course and I didn't get celebrated. It's like, at first it's like, come on, kid. Really? You're celebrated a lot. So that's defensive. Okay, how many of us are doing this in our financial goals? We're doing this in our relationships. It's what I would call a blind spot. And that blind spot can get you very, very broke fast, both in love and financially. Okay, so I thought this is a really great, if you can get this, and I know you can, it requires you to let go of being right in some area of your life and stop defending. And it really creates an ultimate vulnerability that will create an insane amount of cash flow. Because some of you guys are pushing a goal or you're pushing a process that somebody has told you or that you think you need to do to be successful. Like for instance, if you think working harder will make you more money, I totally disagree. Now, if you know exactly what you're doing, if I push on this campaign and it always produces X amount of money, working harder on this campaign 100% will make more money. So what am I trying to teach you right now? The context of how you're reading the data, how you're processing will determine how much time you have in your life and how much money you have in your life. I'll circle back around this. Who's kind of starting to feel like their brain's starting to open up? Put me in the chat. Who's starting to feel like your brain's starting to open up? Okay, so you might not be able to completely touch it yet, or maybe you can, but I want you to start thinking about situations in your life, okay? So my son, we hire a homeschool teacher A, and at first it started out well, and then what happened was homeschool teacher A introduced this technology. I have a little CEO here. I mean, he was trying to tell his golf instructor, who is a pro, how to swing the other day because he was watching YouTube videos that somebody taught him something. And so he thought he should tell the pro how to swing. And we had to pull him aside and say, dude, let the pro teach you how to swing and you can keep practicing that stuff. That's the point of a coach, is to be coachable, right? And so he's very, very strong. So he got it. He's like, okay, I'll do better. He got it, right? However, teacher number A lost control. And I said, please stop bringing in any technology. Now, we were part of the problem of that. Before the teacher came, I don't want to waste your time on this, but like, if he was really good, we'd let him like jump on and, watch a God movie. There's another value system. Okay, so every time you hear me say a value system, I want you to write one of yours down. Okay, so I have a very strong value system around God, right? Like I start almost every day that way. Now, you don't have to have that, but I'm not going to hide that because it's a value system of mine. Does that make sense? So I'm not going to try and people please and fit in. It's a value system. So we give Zach the iPad to watch a God movie in the morning. And guess what that did to this teacher? Did not set the teacher up to win. So that's where we're responsible. Does that make sense? So then the teacher gets my kid in the schoolroom, and she starts implementing, well, let's watch a Bible study session so that she could do whatever she's doing. And then on the breaks, you can watch, Wildcraft, a science show or something. So she lost complete control over him. And I said to her, it's all leadership. I said to her, what I'd like you to do is pack up your stuff in front of him and walk to the front door and tell him if he's not going to listen to you, you're not going to teach him anymore. And she was like, really? And I said, yep. And if he stops you and recommits to an agreement with you, then stay. If it fits your value system. If you believe him, it fits your value system, you create an agreement with him, then stay. If he doesn't focus again, I'd like you to pack up and actually keep your word and walk out the front door. She goes, I can't afford not to take a day off. I said, I'll pay you. But what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to call him at dinner time on my phone and FaceTime with him and ask him if he wants you to come back, because you have to reestablish authority with him. And until he knows that he could lose you, right? Until he gets Ash was talking about this in Meant to Be Live yesterday on the Money Week call. He said, what's the cost of inaction? Very, very good question, right? So that's teaching my son that, right? What's the cost of inaction? Okay, so long story short, this school teacher has not been able to get my son back on track. And every time I walk back in the schoolroom, she's got freaking technology. I took the iPad, so she just gives him his phone. So here's where I knew I had a problem. I said, teacher A, why does my son have technology in here? I wasn't a mean person, by the way. I was like, hey, why? I thought we weren't going to do technology. Why does he have technology in there? And she said, see, Zach, I told you. Now don't give teacher A shit, okay? Because you do this somewhere and you got to get your power back, okay? She's like, Zach, I told you you're not supposed to have technology. I told you get in trouble, and takes the phone. I don't say anything, but I hear it. Okay, the people around you are hearing how you deal with difficult situations. And so in that moment, I'm like, she's blaming a 9-year-old. I come in the next day, same thing. I say it again. Teacher A, please do not, put your phone in your purse, lock it up, or don't bring it in the room. I don't want to see him on any technology while he's with you from 9 to 1 o'clock. Okay? And so she again, Zach, I told you weren't supposed to have it, and took the phone. And I looked at her at that point, core value system, and said, it is not Zach's responsibility under your leadership. Do not hand him your phone. Do you guys see what I'm saying? That's core value system, is being able to stand up like that. It took 4 days later, and she resigned in a text message about an hour before class started. Why? I'll tell you why. She was failing. Oh, I spelled that wrong. She was failing. Okay? It's really spelled wrong. When you're failing at something, the number one thing that you're going to want to do is pull back. The problem is, and this is why I say step up to the pain, step up to the pain, step up to the pain. When you start to get overwhelmed, step up to the pain. Don't go, oh my gosh, I need to just stop everything. No, you already committed to that. Get through it. Because what happens every time you back down from the pain, you go back into the box. If she would have just tried a couple strategies, she would have gotten Zach back. Teacher number B comes in 2 times a week, only has 2 hours a week. The text message I get from her today is how extraordinarily smart my son is, Zach, different leadership. And how she was teaching him 2 grades up algebra and some other form of math that I don't even remember, because he's motivated by big goals. Now let me take Dad. Remember, this teacher's gone now as of last Friday, I think, or Thursday. So Dad has been homeschool teacher. Okay, to the point where Zach is running into my office saying, please don't leave me with them. Please don't leave me with them. Dad's making me read like 13 pages in one go. I'm only 9. And Dad sees them up here, right? Dad just messages me, because I promise you there's a point to this leadership that will free you. We have a cleaner that comes twice a week who just retired as a teacher. Dad is basically failing in the homeschool world. Why? Because they're battling, right? They're battling. They're on the golf course in the morning. That's good. By the time we get into school, he's like, Zach, sit down and work. I'm like, he hasn't eaten yet. He's like, let me cook my breakfast. He's like, and his dad's like, I'll cook you breakfast. Go sit down and eat, or go sit down and work. Okay. Frustrated, overwhelmed, trying to just like worried. How many guys feel worried a little bit about what you're working on, right? It can create an energy that if you don't ask for help, it just becomes a downward spiral. So Dad is a smart leader. He said, surrender. I need help, wife. I need help. So I go and I get the cleaner and I say, would you grab my son and have him help you clean the house today? And in between cleaning the house today, would you grab some of his Abeka school books and do cursive writing with them? Anything, right? I'm interviewing another homeschool teacher tonight. Anything. I get a text from Dad saying, gosh, I could just sit and study this cleaner. Her name's Wanda, by the way. She's amazing. And she's so good with our son. He listens to absolutely everything she says. Okay, the reason why I wanted to share this whole story with you, because this is real life. Whether Zach ends up being a money goal, whether Zach ends up being a family reunion, whether this goal ends up being getting married, dating, getting healthy, beating cancer, whatever that looks like. Does that make sense? Like, there's no guarantees in life. But I will tell you, most people start to fail and they give up. How many of you guys have ever started a health program and got really, really healthy? Put me in the chat. You started a health program, you got really, really healthy, right? Put me in the chat. Okay, so, and you know what happens if you don't stay in that structure, right? What happens when you don't stay in that structure? And this is where I'm going to get into today's training, okay? If you don't stay in that structure, you'll fall out. And this is the problem. People are putting their finances on a diet mentality versus a lifelong mentality. And it's totally different. So I'm going to ask you right now, what are your core values in your life right now? What is, like, it might not be the same as it was 4 years ago. Have you stopped and really said what's important to you? Because it's critical, right? So what's really important to me is money is critically important to me. And I have no shame on that. It is very, very important to me. God is incredibly important to me, right? Super important to me. Being generous is really critical. Generosity is what's made me my most amount of money. If you've ever seen me make an offer, when I make an offer for something, like whether it's talk to somebody on my team or whether that's buying a ticket to List Power, I used to sell my List Power program for $3,000. And currently I've been selling tickets to go to that List Power workshop, which I don't have any coming up right now, but List Power workshop for like $47. Why would I do something like that? Because I want to help more people. So to help more people, I need to get more generous in my structure. Do you guys see what I'm saying? In order to get closer to God, I need to get more structured in my calendar. In order to make more money, I needed to make myself more available, which comes down to structure. So I want to ask you right now, are you living a life on your value system? Right? So for me to get up and train and coach, and like I'm thinking about opening a whole YouTube channel just around my conversations with God. Because it's unbelievable the blueprints and the marketing strategies and the structure and the growth that I get. But it wouldn't fit in this company. Like it wouldn't fit on this live. But hiding my core value would also be a major problem. Because people don't know if we have similar value systems. How many guys are totally into God? Put a G in the chat, right? Like you're totally into him, right? Put a G in the chat. Now look at the chat right now. Don't stand by and not put something, because that like, remember, generosity is a core value of our core, right? And so be generous and put something in the chat because it allows people to see. So look at the chat and how many people are putting a G. That's a core value that we have. Could there be people who don't believe in God watching this platform? Possibly, but I'd probably irritate them. Does that make sense? And so they might be watching because I irritate them at that level, which is okay too. That's that whole thing, like bad press is good press. You know what I mean? Like there are people who follow you that can't stand you, and they just follow you because it's almost like they're so off purpose that they just watch you to critique you. Okay. So when I look at my core value system, when you look at your core value system, that's where you need to start putting in structure connected to your goals. So remember this year is either going to go by and you're not going to remember it. You're not going to remember it. Or it's going to be something that's epic that you remember. And so Daniela and Naomi and King, right? Like when you're looking at the rest of this year, Kimberly Smith, right? What do you want this year to be known for? What do you want this year to be known for? What would it feel like if you hit that epic goal by the end of the year? What would that be for you? Okay, so for me, it's actually, building our platform so it frees up more of my time to move to the front of the platform. Does that make sense? So that's really a key. Now, why do I know that's aligned with what I would call God's calling on my life? Because money's important to me. God's important to me. It's important for me to have a strong family life. It's important for me to, I'm really mission driven. And so like volunteering and things like that, it's really important to me. It's not an afterthought. For me not to go to Africa or to go to an orphanage or something like that and give back, that's a problem if it's missing in my life. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like it's a problem. Like a friend of mine just messaged me and said, "Do you want to take the boys to Africa next year on this incredible volunteer retreat?" And part of the big piece around it is teaching them also around finances. So it's really important that I would rather my son understand a profit and loss statement and what passive income is way more than I want him to understand what active income is. Active income is all of us getting out there and working for money directly. What I think is really smart is work for money and invest it, which is why last week I sat with one of my crypto friends that has been in crypto before anybody really knew about crypto. Does that make sense? And I also sat with another friend of mine who started with nothing a couple years ago and has $100 million in crypto. I'm like, holy shit, how did you do that? Right? How many of you guys want me to bring her up on the platform in the next couple weeks? Any of you guys want me to bring her up? Some of you guys have meant to me live have already met her. Her name's Kira. Right? And so a lot of things that people don't realize, that there's opportunity standing in front of them to learn, but people don't learn it because they're not asking questions to learn about people's core values. My friend Kira's core value is also passive income and legacy for her family. She has no desire to be on the front platform. It's not a core value of hers. She has no interest in being in front of the front platform, and she doesn't believe that she has to be the one to train people, meet people, or any of that. She believes she needs to sit in the background and orchestrate it because it's connected to a core value of hers. So I don't want to confuse you guys. I want to actually open your mind up so you start to really dig into this idea that what if something's not clicking because it doesn't mean enough to you? Does that make sense? Like what if my son is being distracted because he doesn't have a goal in front of him that means enough to him? Because taking away his iPad doesn't work anymore. He just says, "Oh, I know. You're just going to take away my iPad." Do you know that some of us have gotten so used to failing financially or in relationships that it's become such a blind spot that we operate like my 9-year-old. We're like, "Oh, I know. I'm going to do that campaign and nobody's going to show up." You might not verbally say it, but you emotionally say it with your actions. Are you guys following me? Does this make any sense? So where are you emotionally giving up right now? Go in the chat. Where are you emotionally giving up right now? Go in the chat. Let me know. Write it down. And by the way, there's no shame on there's more shame on not sharing it because the devil's having you hide it. And so don't hide it, right? Like put it out into the light, right? So trusting yourself and disappointment, making your phone calls, health goals, but what specifically with health goals, right? Are you supposed to be on a parasite cleanse right now and you're not? You like had a glass of wine last night instead of like eating your veggies and fruit, or you know what I mean? Like where are you giving up? You know, where does that look? Now look in the chat, you guys. The chat should be flying right now. Do you know what I mean? Like you should be like running to the light and sharing it, because what happens is when you put something in the chat and share where you're actually really just kind of act, like the non-action is costing you a very big goal in your life. When you write that down in the chat, what do you think it does for other people who have the same non-action problem right now? It gives them relief. It gives them relief when they read what you write, right? Because they're like, shoot, I have that too. Okay, so now I'm going to flip and we're going to get past it. Are we ready for that? Yes. So I want you to ask yourself, if you're going to realign to what it is that you want, like shorter goals, in my opinion, are better because they build confidence. They're better if you're in a state of non-action somewhere. I just did, I don't know, a few weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, which is like time's flying like this. I did a List Power Intensive workshop, and the number one thing when people had me in front of them, they jumped in and committed and joined us in Mentor Me Live, which is our year-long mastermind. I want you guys to hear this. The further away they got from the workshop, they started saying, "Give me the steering wheel, I'll drive it myself and do it myself." Do you know how dangerous that is? How many of you guys have been in a mastermind, started getting results, and then pulled it back? Or you started counseling and the relationship started to get better and then you pull it back? Or you started a fitness program and you're working out and then you're like, you know what, trainer, I'm good, bye, right? Do you know that some of the top people I know in the world, like, even people who teach fitness have fitness instructors. Why? Because they're taking it up that next notch. Not all of them, they have a coach somewhere. But my point is like, when you look at what you're working on, I'm going to tell you, so many people are choosing the slow route because they haven't locked their value systems in with their goals. So here's, I'm going to give you a demonstration. I'm going to ask you to write for yourself right now. Okay. Active income. Who knows you need some help right now to get out of your own way? Put me. Put H for help. Who knows you need some help to get out of your own way right now? So, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, so, and look at, what did I just tell you that I just saw 2.5 weeks ago in the event? You know what? I'll just do it on my own. I know I can do it on my own. Look at the H's in the chat. Do you see how much, like, it's such a BS lie that we tell ourselves to stay safe because we're afraid to invest the money or the time because we're going to get disappointed. It's like, listen, at some point you stop disappointing yourself. At some point you become the leader that actually takes it to the finish line. Every freaking person I know failed, and then they succeeded. You get what I'm saying? Because they didn't keep doing it alone. You need to remember that when you're reaching out and you're working with people. When you ask me, how often do you follow up with somebody? Until you don't care about them anymore. That's when you stop following up with people. When you stop caring about people, that's when you stop following up with them. So if you're being followed up with by somebody right now, don't become a jerk, because guess what has people stop caring is when you become a jerk. And that becomes a life that is isolated. Somebody just had a breakthrough right there. So active income, the reason why this is on my goal plan all the time is because I need to take that active income because I do not have enough passive income. That's urgent to me. Why? My age, the fact that I have a 9-year-old, the fact of AI. Do you want me to just keep going? I have enrolled myself that I don't have time. So if money becomes short or becomes a problem, or time becomes short or becomes a problem, I restructure my life and my commitments to hit my goal. Now, my goal never looks like this. My goal looks like a very specific amount. Okay, so I'm just going to make this up, like 500,000 or 1 million, or for me, like over the 20 million mark, right? And so I started at $5,000 a month and I've grown to that. Okay, so it's specific. Why? Because I need to match this with my heart, which is what's important to me, so that none of you and none of anybody out there can take me off my plan. Does that make sense? I have never been disappointed by a coach. You know why? My coach doesn't run me. I run my coach. I do this exercise probably about every 60 days. And the reason why is because what happens is I start making other commitments and filling my calendar. Does that make sense? And the spin starts. What happens with the spin, when you have too many things on your plate, what happens is you stop hitting the goal. Who's having a breakthrough right now? Who knows what they need to recommit to right now? Right? You know what you need to, okay. So now what I want active income is a building block for my passive income. So the reason why I'm using cash is because obviously I teach around money, right? Like this is a big piece for the piece of the pie I hold for you. But can I tell you how many people have said, Shanda, the reason why you can keep growing your company is because you sell money. It's like, no, people come to me with money problems. They might not come to you with Elizabeth Rose with money problems. They might come to you with weight problems, or they might come to you with heart problems or love problems or whatever. Now, does everybody touched by money? Yes. But people don't have money problems. I was losing 3 homes into foreclosure when I hired a real estate coach. I had no interest in being quote unquote in real estate. I hired a real estate coach for $21,000 and there was no payment plan. Do you know that I journaled and I journaled and I journaled trying to figure out how to pay for my houses? I was trying to figure out, how do I generate money? How do I do this? And then I was like, fail, 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 fail. Well, the truth is when I actually got into my core value system was to help other people get rich. And when I went to a real estate conference and I watched the man up on the stage, see, you know, the definition of insanity is to hear the solution and not walk through the door. To hear the solution, to see the way, to have a door open up in front of you and not have the courage to walk through the door because you're grounding yourself in complete confusion or filling up your calendar in complete overwhelm, weeds around stuff that is never hitting the mark for you, because it takes courage to stop and realign the structure so that you can hit the thing that's important to you and to put the things in your life, whether it's a fitness trainer, whether it's my friend Jonathan Odo around your health, or whether it's around me helping you make money. Do you get it? You have to restructure your life to fit in the man if you don't have a man. You need to restructure your life to fit in the coach if you don't have a coach. You need to restructure your life to fit in the kids if you want to have kids. You get what I'm saying? The problem is that people are living reactional, and you don't have to do that. It can stop today. But you need to understand what makes you tick. What makes you tick? What makes me tick is helping you get very, very wealthy, because I think about family legacy all the time. When I think about little children growing up in households where parents with love have not done what it takes to figure out the financial game, it breaks, shatters my heart. And the truth is, and some people will judge me on this, I don't want my child hanging out with that. I want my child going in and volunteering, but I don't want my child hanging out with somebody who's living in poverty. Why? Because you become the people you spend your time with. And so I very well know that some people could judge me on that. But this is what bold leadership looks like. It tells the truth. And so I'm asking you right now, what do you have to start telling yourself the truth on? Where do you have to stop defending? Where do you have to stop being offended? Because I am certain wherever or with whoever you are defensive with is exactly a door you should be walking through right now. So when I got at that real estate conference, which I had no interest in being in real estate, it wasn't like my calling in life. But sometimes you have a stepping stone. Active income is a stepping stone. If you have a desire to work your entire life, hopefully it's because you don't want to die, not because you have to create active income till the day you die. Active income is a stepping stone. It's taught a lot in the digital marketing space. It's the carrot for a lot of people to keep going. But really, when you make active income, you got to take something off the top, and there's never enough. Very rarely. In fact, you don't ever get enough until you start taking some off the top when there is no money. And you need to invest it in something. Now, I'm not your investment gal. I invest. I bring friends to the platform that I trust. I will never prospect you for cryptocurrency or real estate or anything like that, but I will bring friends to the platform that I trust and share resources with you that you could go and follow them or buy from them or whatever, where I'm not, I'll tell you if I'm affiliated with something, but you probably have never heard me say I'm affiliated with something, because I'm usually not, right? I'm saying, listen, my piece of the pie is to show you this. Your piece of the pie is to figure out where is your heart in this that will keep you driving forward, that will have you have the courage to say yes when the doors open up. I'll share something with you. We just had a leadership training go in today. And there's a woman on my team who lives in Romania. And she's a very, very, very big part of our marketing team. And she says to me, she says, Shanda, literally, like, I'm so excited to go into leadership, but there's no way I'm going to be able to do it like today, right? This is last week. And I said to her, so tell me why. And she goes, well, I have a wedding that I got to go to. I've like, by the way, my leadership program, it's vision. So there's 3 days. Then a couple weeks later, there's breakthrough. So it's 4 days for her. It's the time zone that she would be sleeping. It's almost easier to get on a plane and fly somewhere. So you wake up and there's sun. Do you guys follow me? So she's got to wake up and there's dark and probably even be up during the day and then somehow stay up all night, right? She has to walk through that to fight for her version of passive income, whatever that goal is for her, whatever's pulling her forward, right? Whether it's a man, whether it's a family, whether it's, passive income, whatever it is. This is a very driven woman. She owns real estate. She's like learned how to take her active income, put it into investment income. And so she's on the path, right? But what I see for her is every time a lot comes on the plate, we have to slow down because she gets overwhelmed. And when she gets overwhelmed, she wants to pull back and say, hey, can I go to a different area? Do you guys hear what I'm saying? How many guys can you see yourself in that? Okay, so I said to her, I said, listen, I'm going to call her Tammy. And I said, Tammy, you got to do my leadership program. I enroll her in it, right? Because I can see what's stopping her. How many guys know what's stopping you right now? Put an S in the chat, right? How many guys know what's stopping you, right? And so for her, it was a blind spot. I had to have a hard conversation about this ceiling of overwhelmed. Every time you get into this situation, I guarantee you do the same thing. Here's what's awesome about helping other people, you guys, and helping yourself. You have a pattern. The people you love that you're trying to help right now, they have a pattern. And that pattern isn't just with you, it's with everyone. Do you guys hear me? Yes. And so I knew her pattern with me was the same way she would have been with every other client she's ever worked with. And so I addressed it in that exact way. I bet you've been in this emotion feeling before at other places when things get too big. And you're circumventing your ability to create more passive income in your life because you're having a hard time with the active income, because when in order to grow in your leadership, you have to expand your bandwidth. Did you get it, Janet? So you get paid, whether you're in entrepreneurship or employment, by expanding your bandwidth. And when you can't expand your bandwidth, which means you hit the wall somewhere, right, Javier? You hit the wall somewhere, and when you hit the wall, you do something. What do you all do? Right? So for this person, Tammy, she basically starts to unwind herself. Right? She comes up with a reason, she starts to unwind herself. So she calls me up, she goes, I can't go in because I got a wedding, I got this, I really want to do it. And honestly, Shanda, I don't know if I could stay up all night. I said, pretend you flew to California. Go get a clock from Walmart, if they have a Walmart or whatever in Romania, and put that clock, a big one, next to your bed, and put it on California time zone. And I said, but you didn't have to know that you didn't have to get on a plane. You didn't have to rent a hotel. You're going to stay in your own bed. And I said, and just do the training. And I said, because if you don't do the training, I said, you're going to be in a position where you're going to end up quitting. And then you're going to go to another company, you're going to quit. And then you're going to go to another company, and then you're going to quit. And then you've already started companies of your own, and then you've backed down. Who am I talking to right now? That you can see yourself, right? And so the beautiful thing is she wasn't defensive. She was completely open. She's like, you're 100% right. And so she saw it, and it was enough to pull her forward because she was blocked. She was, at this point, in a box. It wouldn't matter how many ideas she had, how many masterminds, she's a mastermind, business masterminds. It wouldn't matter where she went. She'd keep landing in this box because she had an emotional pattern that was boxing her, and it didn't matter how much more education she got, how much more she did. When she hit her bandwidth, and every single one of you have a bandwidth. When she hit her bandwidth, it's like hitting a hot stove. You're like, ooh, you start to pull back. And the challenge is typically you'll see defensiveness or blame in this moment because you have to justify quitting in some way. And so every time you do that, you back away from the pain of the stove versus stepping up to it and finishing making your dinner and eating it. You get what I'm saying? When that happens, your bandwidth has expanded. So do you think it's true that somebody has some of the same challenges you have in your life and are able to accomplish more? Yes. There are millions of people. For me, for you, for all of us, there are millions of people who have walked the path in front of every single one of us, myself included, that are doing it in a much more stronger, structured leadership base. So I'll end on this and share this with you. Tammy is in the room right now. She went into Vision. Vision went in today. She went in. But we had to solve the logistical problem. Everybody has a logistical problem. I have a wedding to go to. I said, is the wedding during the second part of the training breakthrough? Is the wedding like you couldn't be in two places at one time? She goes, no, but I have to travel. And I said, so I said, why don't you travel a couple days before the second part of the leadership training and use that space to have a little mini vacation with yourself and then go to the wedding after you're done the training? Oh, I never thought about that. Now, what I'm going to go in and talk to her about after she gets out is how many areas right now in her personal life and in her career that she just didn't think about another way to do it because she stopped at the trigger of I can't handle it. The trigger was I can't handle the training and get on a flight and travel and be present at the wedding for my friend. I can't handle it. You get what I'm saying? Like that's the trigger. That's the same trigger that hits the overwhelm. It's just she doesn't have it wired that way when she's in her workforce. She has it as you're unorganized, or there needs to be an SOP, or this is whatever. She has it wired differently. So I share this story with you, and I could share hundreds, and I know you could share hundreds with me, Liz, right? Where we have stopped because we didn't know better. Right? I have a whole story, if you've ever heard it, I'm not going to tell it to you now, where I moved to America from Vancouver, Canada. And I went to the INS, I went to immigration attorneys. They all told me I could be 60 years old before I ever become American. My dad is American. And it was one attorney that told me the immigration, the government buildings, they're all wrong. All those immigration attorneys you talk to, they're all wrong. You're already American. Just send in your passport and send in proof that your parents were married and that your dad lived in America. I think it was for like 3 or 5 years of his life, which he was, right? I got Air Force records. And so my point in sharing all of that with you is that it wasn't true that I was blocked, that I had to pay foreign national out of country tuition to go to university. None of that was true. I took the hard path because I didn't push through the pain. I dabbled with it. I touched it. It's like doing a webinar and nobody's showing up. It's like taking a shot at your messaging and somebody not resonating with it. Nobody buys and you just, well, let me think about it next month. Right? Like it's a lack of urgency because we're backing away from the pain because there's something that you think your identity is connected with a result and it's just not. So I want to share something with you. You guys, for some of you guys, if you could really dive into like a next level plan, you could really, really structure yourself to be able to have a great year. Can I tell you that right now, over the last four months of the year, you could create an entire 12-month goal in the next 4 months, believe it or not. In my leadership program, which they went in today, you should have been in it if you've never done it. Who's done HCL? Put HCL in the chat, right? They went in today, so I can't put you in the training. But my point in sharing that with you is that when people go into that training, they're going to come to a third level and they're going to set a goal. And many of those people will exceed their 12-month goal inside of the 3 months inside the third level of that program. I've seen it with over 4,000 people now. So I share this with you. Do not buy the lie inside your head that it's not realistic, that it's not possible, that it's too late, that this year is done, or whatever shit you're telling yourself. I want you to grab a hold of what do you want Why is it important to you? Write this down. What do you want? It is really important to me to hit a certain active income goal this year, because I see a window of investing that I wish I would have held on to Bitcoin 7 years ago, 5 years ago. I wish I would have held on to Bitcoin. I wish I never would have sold my Bitcoin. I wish I would have rode all the waves up and down, up and down, up and down, just like my friend Kira did, where now she has $100 million in cryptocurrency. And do you think she's selling? No. Why? She's got a vision. What's your vision? And are you running towards it this year and having the stepping stone of this year yield into your ultimate goal? So I want to encourage you, if you are somebody in Hardcore Leadership, I want you, I said this the other day, go inside the graduate group. And I'll be in there today, tomorrow. Go inside the graduate group and start taking what I trained you in here today and level the F up. You guys who've done Hardcore Leadership, go inside the grad group. Reset your declaration between now and the end of the year. Put yourself in a position where you say, you know what, this is what I want, and this is what I'm declaring. Do you know I've never hit a goal that I haven't declared? Never once. Never once have I hit a goal that I have not declared. So I'm going to encourage you right now. If you are in Hardcore Leadership and you've graduated, if you're not graduated in the program, then I would work with your small group. But if you have done Hardcore Leadership, I encourage you to go into the Hardcore Leadership Graduate Facebook group right now and go put your declaration in there. And I'll be in there today. I'll be in there tomorrow. My husband will be in there. Carla will be in there. And we'll go in there and we will help you coach yourself to the result that you want to create. If you're somebody who has not done Hardcore Leadership and you would like a vision plan, that's the first section of the leadership training. Put the word vision in the chat right now. Put the word, or V, put the word V in the chat if you haven't done it. Why is vision so important? Vision is the thing that compels us. I didn't just pick passive income out of my hat. Do you get what I'm saying? The reason why passive income is important to me is actually it was never strong enough for just me as a woman or even as a wife. I want passive income for my son. It is really important to me to have passive income. Some of you guys know that because you've been listening to me over the last year. I am obsessed with it. And I don't nearly feel like I have enough to make sure that my son is in a good state. I don't want to spoil him. I don't want to do any of that. But before I can even get to managing spoiling him, I need to create it. Do you get what I'm saying, you guys? And so I'm committed to taking active income and investing for my son, Zach. Obviously, my husband and I work on that for our life. Right? And we have our personal goals that make us feel like, okay, I feel good. Like if my passive income pays for my lifestyle and I have spending money, I feel good. You know what I mean? Like I feel free to be the best version of myself. For some of you guys, become a millionaire just to become a better version of yourself. Right? So when passive income exceeds your life output, like the money you have to put out, it changes you. You're honestly a nicer person. Like, because that level of pressure is off you. But where I feel pressure is with this little dude, is Zach. And I feel like I'm in a legacy moment right now in the world, a history moment that forever I have to do a good job. I can't screw this one up. And whatever trauma drives me into that, it's what's important to me. And that's what gets me up in the morning to create this, to create that. So I don't get tired. I could do this every single day with you. I don't get tired. And, I share with you, if you don't have a strong enough vision, you will keep procrastinating. Overwhelm will cause you to pull back. You will stop. You will give up. You will make up a reason for it. And there's nothing wrong with you. Your vision is just lacking. So Keith, I don't know if we have a link, and even if we have 10 spots or like, I don't know how many spots we have for something like this, but I know that I saw there was some, and that's why I want to drop that. If we have a link for that and you have not done our leadership program, you guys who have done the leadership program, go to the Facebook group because I want to coach you in there and it's good for everybody to see, right? If you haven't done it, there's a link right there. You guys on social media, unfortunately, you'll have to message me and probably probably there won't be any spots left. But for you guys here on the Zoom, if you haven't done it and you want a vision call, they can help you establish your vision so that you get very, very clear on the thing that's going to pull you forward. If you've done HCL and you need some support in this area, go in the group. Tell me, what do you think the vision is? What do you think? And I will help drill down on some of those chats in the Facebook group to be able to help you really establish that so you stop letting another day go by. Because today, we can do something about it. Today, not tomorrow. We don't get on our fitness plan tomorrow. We get on our lifelong journey today. So if it's your birthday tomorrow and part of your lifelong journey is to stop drinking, just stop today. You're joking yourself if you think I'm just going to have my birthday and then commit. I'm just going to do this coaching program and then commit. I'm just going to, finish selling my house and then I'll commit. I'm just got to get through this divorce and then I'll commit. Like, that's bullshit. That is called living your life on a diet. And if you live your life with a diet mentality, you will keep getting disappointed. Why not level up and become the men and the women that we want to be right now? I am standing for you to get locked in on your vision today. You guys on social media, we're going to say goodbye to you right now on Zoom. I'm going to stay on with you guys and answer a couple questions in hot seat. But God bless you guys. I'll see you next Tuesday.